Let's start things off today with a question from Jim Pruitt, who asks a real thinker of a question. In 1967, the movie Dr. Dolittle introduced the world to a man who could talk to the animals. If you could talk to just one animal, what animal would it be? And he says, I would talk to a squirrel and tell them to stay out of the traffic. I think that's good thinking. Talk to an animal. Well, I do talk to animals. I really do. I love animals. Tell you a story. This happened to me when I was working on the Charlie Ruggles Show at ABC. It was one of the early live shows, and our sponsor was Dr. Ross Dog Food. And if you remember Hal Smith, who played Otis Campbell the drunk on the Andy Griffith Show, well, he was the announcer on our show, the Ruggles Show. And they had brought in a little dog, a little larger than a Chihuahua. And Dr. Ross was wonderful about animals, but the little dog hadn't eaten all day. It had water, it had everything, no problem. So 7:30 at night came the commercial, and Hal is telling about Dr. Ross dog food, and they put down the dog food on camera, and the little dog just laps it up, you can imagine, and then regurgitates all over Hal and the bench. Live. So Hal, talking to animals, picked up the little dog and held it close to him and looked into its eyes and says, you just love Dr. Ross. You ate that too fast, didn't you? Oh, I'm sorry, but you like the liver part, don't you? And so help me, this little dog on camera nodded up and down in agreement with what Hal said. And the dog was fine. It hadn't eaten, so therefore... So we do talk to animals. We talk to them all the time, particularly the ones that we have in our homes. And I love it. And you know, one of the people who got that going, one of the geniuses who changed the world when it came, his name was Walt Disney. He gave us another look at animals in all of the wonderful shows and movies that he did. Thank you for that question. Now let's hear from a 5-year-old Andrew Dellinger, who has to know, his question is Tinker Bell real? Oh, you know, that's a very deep question, and people have been asking questions like that. And a 5-year-old, good for you. Let me ask you, maybe I can put it in a way so you can understand. Let's just say that you have a great-grandma who lives 2,000 miles away from you in a big city, and your parents tell you about this great-grandma, and her name is, let's say, Patricia. And great-grandma Patricia is wonderful, and she likes to eat oatmeal, and she likes to drive her car, and she likes to go to movies, and you have never met great-grandma Patricia. But do you believe she's real? I believe she's real. I believe Tinkerbell, whom you've never met, I believe she's real too. So maybe that answers your question. There are lots of people that I'm told stories about that I'm so happy that I know about them and that I believe they're real. Andrew's 8-year-old sister, Zoe Dellinger, also has a question. Well, it came in all the family. She wants to know, are you, that's meaning me, really as tiny as Tinkerbell? Or did they use, oh, so smart 8-year-olds, special effects? Well, I know that you think of special effects, Zoe, but I'm going to answer it in a different fashion. All right, let's just say that a grown-up in your family, a dad, a mama, uncle, an aunt, is 6 feet tall, okay? And they hand you a pencil, and they hand you a piece of paper, and they said, draw a picture for me. And you would you say, no, I need about 16 more pieces of paper, and it's going to go all the way across the floor because I have to make this person as tall as they are. No, you draw them the size that will fit the piece of paper. And you do it very well. And the great artists at Disney, Mark Davis and so many of them, drew Tinkerbell so how she would fit into the scene and the backgrounds. So you might call it special effects, but I call it artistic genius. Is that okay with you? Because when I see her up there, sometimes, well, I never feel small because I'm 5'2", and little kids come up to me and look at me and they said, "Are you really Tinkerbell?" And their mothers are smiling, like, tell them yes. And I look at them and I say, "No, I'm too tall to be Tinkerbell." But they drew me as Tinkerbell with all my actions. So that is very, very special. And you might say a special effect. Well, Skywalkers, that's all the Tink time we have for today. I would like to thank Jim Pruitt and Andrew and Zoe Dellinger for sending in their questions and their concerns. Oh, almost forgot that. If you would like me to spread some faith, trust, and pixie dust, send your questions to share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. Bye now.